Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Svetlana and I have a really cool video for you. At least I think it's cool, and you're going to judge for yourself. So what we're going to do is prison meals from around the world. Now, I've done my research, so I hope these are correct, at least as far as I can research it, they're correct. And of course, there's some variation to it, but we're going to do prison meals from around the world. So you're going to travel the world without leaving wherever it is you're sitting. So if you like these kind of videos, or you just want to support my channel for free, all you have to do is click on that subscribe button so that you're notified every time I post a video. All right, let's go around the world.
I played it innocent, a feel of discontent. I'm finally facing it all, fearless.
Okay, so I hope you took that 5 seconds to subscribe because you want to see this pretty face light up on your phones or your iPads or your screens, because why wouldn't you? Anyway, I do apologize that I'm going to read from my phone because, like I said, I did the research. I don't want to steer you guys wrong. So I'm going to read what I found. But I brought my sidekick because we're going to travel. Anyway, so the first place we're going to is France. And you guys are going to see the picture pop up in the corner, of course. So France, the typical meal is, as you can see, dried chicken stew and mushy potatoes. Ugh. French cooking might be considered one of the most prestigious cuisines in the world, but at the same time, it doesn't go for the food served in the prisons. Dried chicken breasts, stodgy noodles, and dead salad leaves are some of the delicacies inmates have to endure. The only saving grace is that all French prisons serves pastries on Sundays. Who knew? All right, next we're going to travel to Thailand. All right, so the picture we're looking at is watery soup and rice. I lost my appetite. Okay, prisoners in Thailand are not very lucky when it comes to meal times. Usually being served plates of steamed rice hucks that have been sitting around for hours. Luckily for some inmates, visitors can bring in food for their loved ones, but others are not so fortunate. All right, next country we're going to, eeny, meeny, miny, moe, Finland. Actually, that doesn't look too bad. Fish, soups, and meatballs. And it's doable. So prisons in Finland have a reputation for serving some of the best food to their inmates. I was right, it was pretty good. Some examples include herring with rye, chicken lasagna, rainbow trout, and root stew, smoked meat soup, and meatballs. All meals are served with a fresh side dish, bread, and a cold drink. Okay, Finland, give some tips to our countries. Seriously. All right, next one. Who's ready? Egypt. All right, Egypt. Bean stew, rice, and bread. Okay. So prisons in Egypt serve very basic bland meals, which generally consist of bean stew, rice, and bread. But luckily for the inmates, family members are allowed to bring them food on the weekly visits. Some of the items they typically request are cheese, crisps, fruit, and biscuits. Come on, visit your loved ones, bring some fruit and biscuits. All right, travel time. Whee! UK. A pork pie salad. No. UK does not have the best reputation when it comes to food served in the prisons, which typically include bland-looking omelets, dry pizza, and baked beans with chips. In 2016, a prison in Birmingham hit the headlines after serving inmates a dinner of pork pie salad. Okay, moving on. Let's go. India. Chickpea stew. Prisons in India usually serve puli hora for breakfast. which is a rice dish. See, I told you this was an educational video. Lunch consists of a watery chickpea stew with rice and chapati, as well as different type of curry each day. Dinner is similar to lunch, and on Sundays, the inmates are treated to a chicken or goat curry. Okay, I'm not a fan of goat, but every day. Moving on. Sweden. I like this one. I'm moving to Sweden. Okay, unlike other prisons across the world, Sweden has taken a different approach to how inmates are treated with the aim to rehabilitate them, rather than use it as a punishment. Prisoners are fed a well-balanced diet, and they get to enjoy treats such as knäckebröd. I don't know if I said it right, which is a Swedish cinnamon bun. Okay, so hear that, guys? Rehabilitate. Imagine if prisons actually rehabilitated their inmates. I thought. Commentary is extra. All right, let's move on. New Zealand. All right, the menu in New Zealand prisons is far from adventurous, with breakfast consisting of a choice of cereal and lunch being a dull sandwich. Dinner options seem more appetizing, including sausages with curry sauce, meatloaf in an onion gravy, and fish with tomato relish. Pakistan. In Pakistan, the prisons usually serve inmates lentils with rice, and sometimes they're given vegetables and chapati bread. During the month of Ramadan, the inmates are given special meals including chicken, sweet rice, and potatoes served with hot milky tea. Japan. Okay. It comes as no surprise that Japan serves some of the most tasty and immaculate looking dishes in their prison. That fish didn't look so tasty. Anyway. The food is so good that one prison even had a restaurant on site where the public can dine and the prisoners do. They typically serve rice boiled with barley, mackerel pike, daikon radish, noodle salad, and miso soup. I am impressed by Japan. Wow. Okay. Where are we going? Money. Germany. A German prison in the city of Bergisch Gladbach in Cologne fed the prisoners McDonald's for a year. Yep, you heard it right. One whole entire year. After a disagreement with the contractor supplying the food, the prison struck up a deal with the McDonald's next year, and so the inmates lived off McToast and Big Macs. Who knew? All right. South Korea. A staple meal in prisons across South Korea is kongbap. This is going to be an exercise in me pronouncing stuff, isn't it? Kongbap. It's a bland dish made up of beans and rice. However, the inmates are fed a variety of other foods which are not nearly as bad. Breakfast consists of bread with tomato sauce and cheese. Lunch is usually a bone marrow and vegetable soup served with kimchi and seaweed. Now, I actually think you're going to recognize this place. United States of America. Anybody heard of that one? The U.S. prison system. We know this is going to be bad, right? We do. So based on the size of America, there's a broad variation in the meals prisoners get across the country depending on the state. No kidding. However, there's one thing they all have in common. Inmates are fed Nutriloaf, which is typically a bland mashup of vegetables, and it's considered bad punishment. So you heard it. Internet considers that the food the inmates get in U.S. prisons as punishment. I guess I could go into the foods that they serve, but I mean, we all know it's usually labeled not for human consumption for a reason. Okay, U.S., you really need to learn from some of those other countries. Seriously. Seriously. All right. Trip around the world. Now we're going to go to another conglomerate known as Russia. Now I'm Ukrainian, so I've been in that continent. I can definitely tell you this is true. So prisoners in Russia are given chaff porridge, which is made from a mixture of low-quality ground grains. Instead of using butter, they add kombizher. Yes, I did pronounce it right. It is a butter substitute of animal and vegetable fats, which was popular in the Soviet times, resulting in tasteless gray slop. I've lived in the Soviet times. Most of us had gray slop, so the fact that it's there in prisons, I'm not surprised. Next, we go to China. Chinese food? Okay, sorry, bad joke. Chinese prisons are renowned for poor conditions and maltreatments of the inmates. Most meals consist of rice, turnips, and pork fat, which provides them with just enough nutrition to survive. If the prisoners do not work hard enough, the rations are halved. Okay. No, not good. And we are in Australia. There isn't anything too exciting on the menu in prisons across Australia. In Queensland, inmates typically have cereal and toast for breakfast. A staple lunchtime meal is a cold meat sandwich, and dinner consists of chicken or fish with potatoes and vegetables. Okay, exciting, but it's better than the United States, right? Okay, next I go to Norway. I've always been impressed with Norway prisons, just a side note, so I'm not surprised that their meals look pretty good. Prisons in Norway have a reputation for being the most homely environment in the world. Hey, learn from Norway. Come on. Told you. Extra commentary. Inmates are given a weekly allowance for grocery shopping and growing crops in the allotment. They are expected to cook their own food, serving traditional meals such as fish balls with white sauce and prawns. Wow, okay, I'm impressed. I'm seriously impressed. By the way, if you don't like the commentary, press that mute button, but keep subscribing, because this lovely face is full of commentary. Alright, next we're going to go to, Italy. I like Italy. Something tells me they don't serve lasagna in there. Let's see. Okay. Prisoners in Italy help harvest fresh fruit and vegetables, as well as being involved in making juices, jam, and olive oil. The harvested produce is incorporated into the dishes served to inmates, and they even get 250 milliliters of wine each day with their evening meal. Go Italy! Grab some wine, olive oil. My hat's off to Italy. Okay, I could do that. I didn't mean go to prison, but I'd like to go to Italy. Alright, next we're going to go to Mexico. One of the staple meals given to inmates in prisons across Mexico is onion soup, which is a watery, bland broth with lumps of onion floating about. This is usually served with some sort of meat and soybeans for protein. Luckily, some prisons allow the family members of inmates to bring in food and share a meal together. Lebanon. Oh, God. My face expression give away anything? No? Prisoners in Lebanon are only fed twice a day, with increasing prices in produce, meaning certain products are not available or being limited. Fruit and vegetables are only provided once a week, and they're typically served plates of hummus and rounds of naan bread during meal times, which is a staple component of Lebanese cuisine. Oh, Haiti. Do I have to? Prisons in Haiti have some of the worst conditions in the world, which includes what they are fed at mealtimes. The inmates only receive one daily ration of food. Yep, only one meal a day. This is usually a bland bowl of rice and beans ladled out from a huge iron pot. Haiti, step up your game. South I don't even know what I'm looking at. In many prisons in South Africa, the inmates are only given 2 proper meals a day, and in the evening they are sent to their cell with bread and a powdered drink for supper. Breakfast is usually bland porridge with no sugar, and a lunchtime meal is stew served with lumpy mashed potato. That just doesn't look good, though. All right, who is traveling? If you're awake, stay up. We're going to Ireland. Prisons in Ireland don't just serve up traditional dishes like coddle, as you might expect. I've never had coddle. After acknowledging their ethnically diverse population, they have now included a variety of international dishes on the menu, including curries and stir-fry. You know what? My respect for Ireland for being ethnically diverse. Turkey. Thinking of Thanksgiving now. Turkey. The country. Turkey. Anyway, the food served in Turkish prisons lacks variety and nutritional value. Inmates are usually served processed and canned food, with meat rarely being on the menu. Some prisoners have even reported that they are only given 1 type of fruit each week and is usually rotten. Okay, I'm not thinking of Thanksgiving anymore. Ooh. This is familiar to me. Canada. I live here. I do not eat that. Do I? I hope I don't eat that. Never been in Canadian prison, so this is new to me. Food in Canadian prisons is prepared in large pots, mixing ingredients together, which are then boiled. The liquid products will be then poured into plastic bags and frozen for up to 2 weeks. The prisoners are then served these puree meals, or you can't even tell if something is meat or vegetables. I thought Canada was better than this. I'm disappointed. Moving on. Jamaica. Okay, I got excited about Jamaican, but the food? No. Conditions in Jamaican prisons have been described as horrific, which includes the food they serve at mealtimes. Prisoners are usually given stodgy rice and sugary water twice a day, lacking any form of protein or fresh produce. Sometimes food and water is not even available, and inmates have to rely on family to bring them food. Oh, no. Nigeria. I see feet. In Nigerian prisons, a small portion of beans are served for breakfast 7 days a week. At lunchtime, prisoners are given watery soybean soup with meat or fish. In the evening, they are only offered dry iba, which is a cooked starchy vegetable made from gari. This is going to be a test of my pronunciation. I'm sorry for anybody whose culture I'm butchering. I'm really sorry. Feel free to send me some meals. I'm willing to try them. Not these ones. Okay. Malaysia. Prisoners in Malaysia are typically served chicken, vegetables, and kuah, which is a type of curry. During religious celebrations, inmates are given special meals and treats, such as oranges. On their birthday, they're also allowed cake or biscuits. Cambodia. The food served in Cambodian prisons does not sound very appealing. Breakfast is usually gruel made with ground cereal and water. A typical meal during the day will consist of a bowl of rice and fish head soup. You can buy other foods from the prison shop, but only if you're lucky enough to have enough money. Philippines. I like cassava cake from Philippines, and now I'm hungry. I'm no longer hungry. Okay. The Philippines has one of the most congested prison systems in the world, which puts a strain on resources available for inmates. Less than $1 spent on 3 meals for each prisoner per day, meaning the menu leaves a lot to be desired. Each meal typically consists of rice, which is sometimes served with fish. Argentina. In Argentinian prisons, the menu is anything but interesting. That being said, it is usually healthy and sometimes quite cheap due to lack of resources. The majority of the time it consists of something like a salad and fish, and then to provide the fullness and the carbs, a slice of bread. Okay, not criticizing, but Ukraine. Didn't I tell you guys? I'm a Ukrainian, born and raised. So, again, never been to prison. So let's see if coming to Canada was a good idea. In Ukraine, a typical prison dish looks something like this. A chicken kind of stew with a clear vegetable broth. Both are cooked cheaply and flavorless for a mass prison population while ensuring there's some kind of carb and protein in a daily diet. Well, during the Chernobyl years, yeah, that was pretty typical. Not in prison, but yeah, okay, I'm not surprised. Libya. Under the Libyan law, unauthorized foreigners can be detained indefinitely and punished with forced labor within Libyan prisons. So do not go to Libya if you're not authorized. They typically serve some kind of beef casserole with boiled vegetables and bread. There's usually not so much meat served as it's more expensive. Cuba. In Cuban prisons, almost every day the menu is black beans and rice. It is cheap, quick, as well as hitting both the carbohydrates and proteins as well as filling up the prisoners. Cuban prisons are largely short on money and resources. Meat would be a luxury. Togo. In Togo, the prisons serve a very typical dish of the country, which is specific to the region. The dish is called fufu. That's fun to say. Fufu. I'm sorry. I have to butcher some of these. I'm sorry. So what is fufu? Fufu is essentially a yam, cassava, or plain kind of paste. Then on the side will be some kind of boiled vegetable such as spinach. Syria. In Syria, falafel is very commonly used food, and in prison, the inmates are often served this falafel loaf. Due to the situation of Syria, the country's prisons struggle to provide enough food for its inmates due to not being enough money to support them. Alright, moving on to Spain. Spain provides one of the better menus and food varieties to its prisoners. Spanish omelet is a common food served in prisons due to it being quick and cheap to make. But especially in comparison to the majority of choices on this list, this is definitely one of the best. I agree, I've had Spanish omelet. I suck at Spanish omelet, but they're not bad. So, Alright, so that concludes my trip around the world. So what do you guys think? Favorite country to visit? Least favorite country to visit, and by that I meant prison. So, leave a comment. Tell me what you think about the prison food. Again, this is the research I found online, so that is the official version of it. We all know what the prison food is like. I just thought it would be interesting to see what it is like around the world. We can compare. I know which one's my favorite, so what do you think is your favorite place? And you better pick what I picked, and I'm thinking the word rehabilitation. So if you didn't catch that, go back and watch this whole entire video again. Anyway, I hope you liked this video. I just thought it was something interesting, and yeah, give it a thumbs up, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Have a good one. Mwah.